What's up, and welcome back to the podcast. It's actually been long enough to where I think I can welcome myself back. It's been almost 4 weeks. Feels good to be in front of the microphone. Feels good to have some stories for you. Feels good to have a little bit of fitness information and tips to give you this week. So do me a huge favor. Make sure that you listen to the entire episode. Spotify rewards people for how long their episodes are watched. So if you're wondering how you can help a guy like me grow his business and reach more people, simply listening to this entire episode is a great way to do that. And if you haven't already, please leave me a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcast, wherever you are listening. So the reason it has been such a long time since I've made an episode is because 4 weeks ago tomorrow, I had my wisdom teeth taken out. If you follow me on any social network, you probably already know that. That's something I had to do for a few years now, or at least my dentist has been encouraging me to do for a few years now. And honestly, I've been putting it off because I was afraid of the recovery. I was afraid that it was going to cut into my training. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to work out. And I was right. The oral surgeon told me I would be back to my training in 3 to 5 days, and it took 3 weeks. So I was knocked off my game. I was in pain. I was not myself for quite a while, and actually about 10 days after the surgery, I had dry socket. If you don't know what that is, dry socket is basically when the blood clot pops off of the area that is healing, and it's extremely painful. I posted about it in my story, and I had a handful of women reach out and say that it was as painful as childbirth, which was a wild thing to hear. So real quick story on that. The recovery was very slow. I was in pain. I couldn't eat the foods that I normally eat. But about 2 or 3 days after the surgery, I started to drink carbonated water because I love carbonated water. I say I love it like I'm obsessed with it, but really I just like to have a little bit of texture and flavor with my water once in a while because all I drink is water. So once a day I have a carbonated water. So 2 days after my wisdom teeth come out, I start to have my 1 can of carbonated water a day. No issues. And at this time, I am on the pain meds, but about 10 days after the surgery, I'm no longer on the super strong pain meds, and I'm starting to space out the time that I take the medication. So there's a little bit of pain. I'm able to deal with it because it's not as severe. So I'm stretching out how long in between each dose of pain meds is. Well, on day 10, I took a sip of a carbonated water and it felt like somebody was stabbing me in the mouth. It was excruciating. And at that point, it was quite a while since I took a pain pill. So it wasn't being masked by the medication. I immediately Googled, are you allowed to drink carbonated water after wisdom teeth surgery? And instantly it popped up and said, absolutely not. Anybody who has had a oral surgery or your wisdom teeth taken out, you know that you're not supposed to drink out of a straw after your surgery because that causes dry socket by basically popping out the blood clot. Carbonated water does the same thing because the pressure in the bubbles actually pops the clot out. And I was doing that for like 7 days and I had no clue what it was doing. So that next morning I reached out to the surgeon. They brought me in, treated it, and basically said 3 to 5 more days of eating soft food and no fitness. When you start to feel better, you can lightly introduce fitness back into your routine. So it took a couple days after that before I was even able to do like an easy calisthenics workout. At this point, I'm 3 weeks into not training regularly, which was super discouraging. I don't think I have gone 3 weeks without like actual strength training or somewhat of a challenging workout in probably 15 years. I tell my clients, I tell my followers, I tell my friends, 1 week of not working out, if you go on vacation or you get sick, isn't going to ruin all your progress. But once I got into week 2, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, I started to get a little bit nervous that I was basically ruining all of my progress. Now, deep down, I knew that wasn't the case, but it was really hard to not get discouraged and feel like all of the work that I did leading up to that oral surgery was going to be washed away. I mean, I was in San Diego 2 weeks before I got my wisdom teeth taken out, and I ran my 5K in PR time, which I mentioned on the last podcast, like 23 and a half minutes. And I go from being in peak physical condition to not even being able to do, a deadlift or a set of pull-ups or a challenging run, let alone even a jog. So it was mind games for about 2.5 weeks. And I finally was able to start slowly introducing workouts back into my day. It started out with a lot of zone 2 bike rides, a lot of easy bike rides on my Airdyne, a little bit of mobility, maybe even some core work was getting thrown in there, but I still haven't actually lifted heavy, and tomorrow's going to be 4 weeks. So this week coming up is actually going to be my first real week of the hybrid training half marathon program that I started. And I'm actually starting it over. So I would be probably 6 to 8 weeks in, because I started it when I got home from San Diego, had 2 weeks of training, and then I had to stop. So I'm going to start it over. I'm going to try to shift my mindset. Instead of being discouraged that I would be 6 weeks in and I would be further along, I would be stronger, I would be faster, I would be more capable. I'm just going to remember that you have to take life. You can't take life so seriously, and you have to take what life gives you. And getting my wisdom teeth out was super important. And even though I was out of the game for 3 weeks, I could still get back to my level of abilities and strength and speed and endurance that I was at before. So if you're somebody who is dealing with that, if you have taken a few months off, a few weeks off, shoot, if you've taken a year off, or you're even looking to get back into it, do it. It doesn't matter if you're starting from scratch, because muscle memory is real. You are going to adapt, and you're going to be able to get back to that spot that you were once at. Now, if you're comparing yourself, if you're 40 and you're comparing yourself to your abilities when you were 18, you have another thing coming. But if you are just trying to get back into it, you're discouraged, or you're afraid you're not going to be at the same level that you were, don't let that hold you back. I will say, the first hard run that I did last week sucked. It was rough. And the first strength training workout that I did last week, even not going heavy, sucked. I felt so weak. I did some strict barbell press, and 95 pounds was challenging for me. And to put it into perspective, the week before my surgery, I was strict pressing like 125 easily. And now here I am struggling to push press, or to strict press 95 pounds. So it's okay to admit and accept that your first week of workouts after coming back from a significant time off, they're going to suck. And that's okay. Just getting in there and getting them done is really what matters most, because like I said, muscle memory is real. Your cardiovascular system is going to come back. You just got to get back in there and do it. You can't let it knock you off the wagon, and you can't stay off the wagon. I also say that to say that if you do miss a couple of workouts, try to just keep your your mental focus in the right place, because that was the biggest thing for me, is having the right mentality and doing small things, even if it was just walking the dogs or jumping on the Airdyne whenever I was able to. That's what really allowed me to start to ramp things up again. So last week, a week ago today, last Sunday, was going to be my first trail run back. And I wasn't going to go like 8 out of 10 effort. It was just going to be like a nice 6 to 7 out of 10 effort. And I've done this trail probably 100 times. It's a 10K trail at Great Bear Recreational Park, one of my favorite trails around. There's actually like 10 different trails in this one park. It's a huge, huge forest area with 10 to 15 different trails. It's an off-leash dog park. People actually ride horses in there. So it's a really cool place. And I was about 2 miles in to my 6.2 mile run, and I come head on with a very cute dog running towards me. And since it's an off-leash dog park, this isn't a rare occurrence. A lot of times people have their dogs running in front of them, and you stop and you pet them, or you just move out of the way, and then the owner walks or runs by shortly after. I stopped to pet the dog because it looked like a stray. I'll just say that. And I waited, and then I like kind of shouted like, hello, or is anybody there? And nobody responded. So that I knew, like, obviously this is a stray. And this dog loved me. It immediately rolled over on his back and let me pet its belly. It was super excited to see me. And then a couple of guys on mountain bikes came by, and it got a little bit scared. It kind of like skirted off a little bit. And then they left, and it came back to me. And then a woman around my age and her mother walked up to us, and the dog got scared again and kind of like ran up the trail a little bit. So I asked the woman if she would help me kind of corner the dog to see if I could pick it up. And we got pretty close. We actually like both walked towards it, and it came like right next to a big log that had fallen down, and there was a bunch of brush around us. So we were in a pretty good situation for me to bend down and pick it up. So I take a step towards it, and I go down to pick it up, and then all of a sudden I realize that it feels like I'm being like bitten over and over and over again. And I look down, and I realize that I'm actually being stung because I stepped on a wasp nest on the ground, and I'm trying to swat these bees away, and they just continue to sting me. So I kind of like ran away from the situation, and I'm swatting these bees that are swarming me. And the dog at this point is kind of running in the opposite direction. And the woman who stopped to help me is like, you're getting stung by bees. I'm out of here. So I end up getting the dog to stop going towards the bee's nest and coming towards me, moving in the opposite direction. And then it just kind of kept running through the woods. And I was chasing it in the sense that I was following it, but I didn't want it to think that I was just like sprinting after it like a lunatic. So it was walking, and I would walk. And then when it started to run, I would run until it slowed down or looked back, and then I would quickly stop just so it didn't think I was actually like chasing it, because I didn't want to startle it, but I didn't want to lose sight of it. So if I couldn't see him, I would run, and then as soon as I got him in my vision, I would walk. I did this for an hour, chasing this dog through the woods. He jumped into a lake, swam around, got stuck in like a huge like plethora, like a group of lily pads, and I thought I was going to have to jump in after him. Fortunately, I didn't have to jump in after him. When he got out of the water, he came to me, and I thought he was going to let me pick him up, but then he took off again. So I'm chasing him again, and finally I got him to follow me. And he's following me for a good 15, 20 minutes, and then I start to like bend down and just stay in one place and reach my hand out. and he comes up to me and I'll pet him under his chin, and then I'll stand up and I'll walk for 5 minutes. And then I bend down, pet him under his chin. Kind of did this like 5 different times, just slowly earning his trust, until eventually I just sat there and pet him for 5 minutes. He laid on his back again. I'm rubbing his belly, basically got a new best friend. And then he stood up and I said to him, all right, now I'm going to pick you up, buddy. And he just let me pick him up. I held him in my arms and I carried him out of the woods like a half a mile to my car. Spent about the next hour and a half to 2 hours trying to get a hold of dog control so I could actually get him somewhere safe and somewhere that they could try and find his owners. And fortunately, he was brought to a shelter that actually found his owner the next day. I talked to her on the phone. It was a really nice conversation. She was very thankful. But I'm glad there was a happy ending to that story, because it was crazy. Getting stung by bees, running through the woods. It was sweltering hot. The dog was clearly dehydrated. He had like white foam underneath his mouth. It was a wild, wild ride. But that was supposed to be my first trail run back, and it ended up being more of a walk-run trail run than anything. But the purpose was meaningful. So I'm glad that I was there, and I'm glad I was able to help that guy out. And today ended up being my first trail run back, and it was awesome. The day before my surgery, so actually 4 weeks ago today, I ran that same path and probably did just as well today as far as how I felt, as far as my pace. So even though I was discouraged and felt like I'm never going to be as fast as I was before, it's all just mind games. It's all just the mentality that you have to keep in check and realize that, like, when you're down and out for a couple of weeks, it's just temporary. It's only temporary. You can always get back to what you were doing before. You can always still and go and do what you love as long as you're healthy. So don't take your health for granted. Don't take your abilities for granted. That was another thing that was like super important. Like being down for 3 weeks, I was just like, man, I'm never going to take my physical capabilities, physical abilities, my performance. I'm never going to take it for granted. And I usually don't. I like to think that I'm pretty grateful and very appreciative for my health, for my body, the things I'm capable of. But something like that comes around where you have to be down and out for 2 to 3 weeks, and it really, really makes you appreciate it. If you've ever been sick, the flu or COVID, even a cold, stuffy nose, you can't breathe out of your nose, sore throat, hurts to swallow. You're like, oh my God, this really sucks, and I can't wait to get better. And then when you are better, there's just nothing more amazing in this world than when you are back to 100% health after being sick. It's really crazy. Like, it's easy to take for granted, like not having a stuffy nose, just like something we do have all the time. We're always breathing. We kind of take it for granted that we have a clear nasal passage. We take for granted that we don't have a sore throat. We take for granted that we don't have a headache. Just try not to take the little things for granted. Even when you get a headache, I don't deal with migraines, but sometimes I have a wicked bad headache and I'm like, man, I just don't want to take this for granted when I feel healthy. I do have numerous friends who do deal with like chronic migraines, and I just feel really bad for those people. And I know those people usually do try to take advantage of every scenario that they don't have a like debilitating migraine. So that's my story. Appreciate what you have when you have it. If you end up being down and out and not being able to work out for 2 to 3 weeks, accept and be okay with the fact that your first week of workouts is going to suck. And also treat yourself well so you have as few of those scenarios as possible. One fitness tip that I want to talk about is something that I made a post about a couple of weeks ago, and it was actually received really well. So I want to talk about it in a little bit more detail, or at least a little slower, because when I'm making a reel for Instagram, you kind of got to get as much information as you can in 30 to 60 seconds. In this case, I have more time than that. I'm not going to drag this out too long, but a fitness tip that I have been using for an online strength and nutrition client of mine is giving him the opportunity to let me know which exercises he loves and hates and anything in between. I want to call this a hack for when you're not feeling motivated, but candidly, I kind of hate how everything is a hack these days. And I feel like a lot of other people are too. Like if you're scrolling through your Instagram, I feel like it's not as fun to see like 3 hacks for getting better sleep, 3 hacks for getting more protein in. So I'm hesitant to call this a hack, but for lack of a better term, this is a hack to get a fun workout in when you're not feeling motivated. I want you to make a list of exercises, and I want you to do this now. Well, not now. I want you to finish listening to this episode. And then when you have a few minutes to yourself, I want you to make this list that I'm about to explain and use it when you need it. I'm not saying you're going to need it right now, but even if you need it in a week, 2 weeks, 3 months, you're going to have it. You're going to make a list of between 10 to 20 upper body exercises that you love. Then 10 to 20 lower body exercises that you love. Then you're going to make a list of 10 to 20 upper body exercises that you don't love, but you don't hate. You're kind of in the middle. You can take them or leave them. Same thing with lower body. Then I want you to make a list of 10 to 20 upper body exercises that you hate, and 10 to 20 lower body exercises that you love. I had my client do this when he wasn't feeling very motivated. He wasn't feeling very excited. Sometimes he would get through a workout, most of the workout, and the last exercise would be something that he hated, and he would skip it. So I'm like, what can I do to make sure that he finishes his workout strong, confident, and feeling accomplished by completing all of the exercises? And I started to realize that he's skipping this exercise because he hates it. So I had him make this list. And now I am using the exercises that he loves at the appropriate times to make sure that he's putting in the work. Because the truth is, the worst exercise done consistently is much better and more beneficial than the best exercise done inconsistently. The beauty of this list that he sent me is he's been working with me for the past 8 or 9 months. So all these exercises that he's sending me that he loves are from our training program. So they're still exercises that I strongly believe in. They're still the true and tried compound movements or even isolation movements that are just super beneficial. But knowing what he loves and what he hates is allowing me to program for him specifically to make sure that he's going to finish every workout strong. This isn't about me, right? This isn't about like, I want to create the most optimal workout plan based off the exercises that I like. That's not my job as a coach. My job as a coach is to find the things that you enjoy and apply them in the manner that is going to get you the best results, in a manner that's going to keep you consistent, keep you excited, and keep you having fun. So even when you first sign up with me, I have a new student questionnaire. And one of the questions is, what are some of your favorite exercises? Another question is, what are some exercises that you hate? Now, don't get me wrong, just because you tell me that you hate an exercise doesn't mean that you're never going to do it. Because I do think there's something to be said about doing things you don't enjoy, doing things that are difficult. But I also think more than that, there's a lot to be said about doing things that you love, doing things that you thoroughly enjoy and that bring you joy. And that's what it's all about to me is when I go for a trail run, it brings me joy. So even if I'm tired that day, even if I'm busy, I know that that 60 minutes on the trail is going to be complete bliss for me. And that's what I'm doing it for, because obviously there's health benefits to it and I'm going to reap those benefits, but the mental benefits and how good it makes me feel in the moment is what I'm really going for. All those other health benefits, they come down the road. Like I'm reaping the benefits of a cardio session 4 to 8 to 12 weeks down the road. But the confidence and the sense of accomplishment and just the endorphins, that's what I'm enjoying in the moment. The peacefulness of being out in the woods and being by myself, that's what I'm enjoying in the moment. So as a coach, if I can get you to have those same reactions using the exercises that you enjoy and maybe sprinkling in some things that you don't enjoy, that's part of my job. My job isn't to stuff exercises down your throat that I think are the best, that I think are the most optimal, or that you hate. So for you, what I want you to do with that list is if there's a day that you're not feeling like working out, I want you to refer to that list and create a workout using the exercises that you love, and maybe even an exercise that you don't love. If there's an exercise that you know you should be doing, maybe once in a while, put it as the first exercise. Like, I'm just going to say an exercise that a lot of my clients, and actually including myself, we kind of hate, but it's probably the most underrated exercise in the world. It's called a B stance RDL. If you want an example of this, just shoot me a DM on Instagram and I'll send you my YouTube video on it. The B stance RDL is extremely underrated. It fits in every single person's program from complete beginner to advanced. Everybody should be doing the B stance RDL. But that doesn't mean that you have to do it like every single week for 3 years like I have been doing it. But if you sprinkle it in once every 2 weeks, something like that, you're going to reap those benefits. So in that case, maybe put the exercise that you hate first, hit 3 to 4 sets of it, and then fill that workout with exercises that you love. Make the very last exercise something that you thoroughly enjoy. So if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling pressed for time, if you're just not feeling motivated to finish your workout, you're still going to do it because you know you love that exercise. If it's an upper body day and you're like, I don't really feel like going to the gym, and you're somebody who loves getting a pump in your biceps, make your last exercise hammer curls or drag curls or whatever curl variation gives you a good pump. Those are my two favorite. If it's a lower body day and you love RDLs or you love leg press, throw those at the end of the workout because you know you're going to be excited to do them as you reach the end of your workout. Just use that strategy when you're not feeling motivated. If you have a program, follow your program, but then a day that you're not feeling it, say it's a lower body day, just plug in your exercises that you love. If it's an upper body day, plug in the exercises that you love. If it's a full body day, plug in some upper body and lower body exercises that you love. I'm always trying to have conversations. I am always having conversations with all of my clients about which exercises they enjoy and which exercises they hate. None of my clients do the same exact workouts, but we're all doing the same exercises, right? Like, I do the same exercises as all of my clients. They're just structured differently, and they're written in the workouts differently. We're all lifting different weights. We're lifting for more or less sets than each other. We're taking less rest or more rest than one another. So we have this like core exercise list, which actually I give to all my online strength and nutrition clients. I have an Excel spreadsheet with all of the exercises that I use. So we all have access to the same exercises. But everybody's program is written based off of their lifestyle, their goals, their equipment availability, and what they enjoy. Some of my clients hate pull-ups. Some of my clients hate core exercises. Does that mean that they're never going to do a core exercise the entire time they're working with me? Absolutely not. But I'm not going to make all of their workout core exercises, because that's like force feeding somebody something that they don't like eating. They're just not going to eat it. So find the things that you enjoy and lean into them. I'll say it again. The worst exercise done consistently is better than the best exercise done inconsistently. So one more example. Walking is a phenomenal form of exercise, but let's just pretend that it's not, because it's not high intensity, it's not actually cardio, and it's not strength training. Walking consistently is 10 times better than cycling inconsistently or using the elliptical inconsistently, whatever you want to say. Like, just be consistent. Find something that you enjoy. If you enjoy walking outside, walk outside. If you enjoy cycling, cycle. Same thing with, like, in regard to cardio. Like, oh, this is the best form of cardio. No, the best form of cardio is one that you enjoy, because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it. So even if the elliptical is a better form of cardio than walking on a treadmill, if you enjoy walking on a treadmill more, do it. If you hate using an elliptical, don't do it. I have a guy that I'm working with right now. He's awesome. Love this dude. Jonathan, you're the man. He likes doing cardio on a rower. I hate doing cardio on a rower. I'll do short interval workouts on a rower, but like nothing more than 15 minutes. But he has no issue being on a rower for 30 to 45 minutes. If somebody programmed a 45-minute rowing workout for me, I'm skipping it. But I can program that for him. A lot of my other clients don't like being on a rower for 45 minutes. So if I program that instead of a 45-minute treadmill incline walk, they're not going to do it. Find what you enjoy, lean into it. That's the message for today. Aside from, if you see a stray dog, stop and help it. Try to find the owner. Get it to the appropriate organization so they can find the owner. And if you miss a couple of weeks of workouts, just remember the first week back is going to suck. But muscle memory is your friend. You are going to get back to where you were before. Don't give up. If you fall off the wagon, you can still stand up and keep walking. The wagon doesn't stop just because you fall off. Your journey doesn't stop just because you fall off. Keep moving. Never stop. If you enjoyed this episode, leave me a 5-star review wherever you are listening. And if you want me to discuss any specific topics, if you want to hear anything specific about fitness or nutrition, shoot me a DM on Instagram at Patrick DeBello Fitness. If you're not already following me there, please do so. And that's it. Those are my plugs. That's my time. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon.